Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, dear members of the profession from across the country and the SAFA region. On behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, its Committee for Members in Practice, and the SAFA SMP Committee, it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this highly relevant and thought-provoking webinar on bridging the mindset gap, unlearning the old ways towards scalability and growth. It's not just another profession webinar. This is a pause button in our busy lives, a moment to reflect, to question our long held beliefs, to unlearn what no longer serves us, and to reimage what our practices can truly become. Today's webinar is about possibility and, more importantly, about the mindset required to convert possibility into reality. The chartered accountancy profession today stands at a defining crossroads. For decades, compliance has been our strength and it will always remain our foundation. But in today's rapidly evolving economic, technological, and regulatory environment, compliance alone is not longer sufficient for the sustained relevance of growth. The real differentiators for tomorrow's successful practice are scalability instead of individual dependency, value creation instead of effort measurement, system instead of silos, leadership instead of firefighting, collaboration instead of isolation, and all of the above, a future ready mindset instead of legacy thinking. This session is thoughtfully designed to help members shift from effort based models to value based practices, move from solo centric working to scalable process driven systems, replace habitual comfort with intentional growth, and most importantly, redefine success for the next decade of practice. And who better to guide us in this journey than leaders of and the profession and the professionals who have themselves walked the path of the transformation with courage, clarity, and conviction. Before we proceed, it is both appro- uh, appropriate and inspiring to acknowledge CA Madhukar Narayan Heer Gange, uh, a towering personality in the Indian accountancy profession. With nearly 4 decades of exemplary professional practice, he represents the perfect coming together of ethics, excellence, and evolution. As a mentor to generations of practitioners, he has consistently reminded the profession that growth is never accidental, it is intentional, it is a value driven, and it begins with mindset transformation. His thought, his thought leadership has emphasized that future CA practice will not be built merely on technical brilliance, but on vision, systems, collaboration, and the courage unlearn. Many ICAI's current initiatives aimed at transforming compliance-centric firms into advisory-oriented, scalable enterprises and deeply influenced by his philosophy. Sir, I request you to kindly share your welcome remarks with the participants.
Thank you. Very good afternoon to all the SAFA participants. Our President of SAFA, Mohammad Hunayn, sir, Vice President Praveen Haji, and my not great, but I will try and keep my talk short. The idea about the fast changing world, which is disrupting even our accountancy profession, where different people are coming. What used to be our cup of tea now is shared with the IT professional, with the BAs, and even with the graduates of the world. And therefore, we need to rise above. We have a good knowledge base. we have a reasonable skill base, but the latest skills we may or may not have. So that is also something which we have to take. Other than that, if I look at it, today compliance is certainly a good area, growing. Consulting is a paying area, pays more. This aspect should be kept in mind throughout all these our countries for us, practitioners. Traditional practice areas are starting to fade in the sense they don't give enough margins and risk is increasing for audit areas. Non-traditional areas probably are to be opened up. That is what tech-enabled services have become imperative now. If you are not using technology, you are looking at possible problems in the next years. Related, what is it that I can do which is related to AI? How can I use AI to supplement today's work is something will become very, very important. Not next year, this year itself, 2026 itself. The while this is going on, one aspect trying to steer influence in this particular webinar series that what are the values you have. Earlier, I used to be an intermediary. My value need not be great. Now,
Priyanshuji, you are
You
So,
muted yourself. We can't hear
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
right. Now
So
it is
it's
okay.
now,
I will unmute myself. I'll just
yes.
complete in 1 minute. Sorry, I told you I was unstable. And this is in the Institute of Chartered Accountants itself in Bangalore, which are the, we are at the head of the point is that series is designed to see that values, attitudes, and habits are also shared by those who are following. This is very important. And therefore, with that, I will stop. I will probably join on a stable platform a bit later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So it's now a privilege to warmly welcome CA Praveen Kumar Jha, Vice President SAFA and immediate past President of ICAI Nepal, a seasoned professional and senior partner at a leading chartered accountancy firm in Nepal. CA Jha brings with him a rich experience in audit, advisory, governance, and regulatory frameworks. His association with capital market regulations, international committees, and professional bodies reflect his deep commitment to strengthening the profession across borders while ensuring quality, credibility, and global relevance. Sir, your presence today symbolizes regional collaboration and shared professional purpose, and we are delighted to have you with us. Sir, it is requested to kindly share the words of wisdom from your side to the members attending this webinar. CA Praveen Kumar Jha, sir. Praveen Jha, sir. So we'll have him afterwards. So
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm here.
yeah. So we're waiting for your.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Priyansuji. My heartfelt greetings to the SAFA president, newly elected president and vice president of ICAI, who are not here in this webinar, but still, this is an opportunity for us to actually acknowledge their election. Committee chair and members of SAFA SMP committee, and the chair and members of ICAI committee of members in practice, and to everyone attending this webinar from across the region. Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. I've always told my students, I'm a teacher for a long time, teaching CA students. I've always reminded my students that when they decided they made the decision to become professional accountants, they decided to pursue a course uh, of lifelong learning. But today's theme of webinar is something different, which is unlearning the old ways towards stability and growth. So we have to unlearn something so as to achieve and scale our businesses and our profession. Anyways, you being present today for the webinar is a proof of your commitment to all of you who are here, and I congratulate you for that you are willing to unlearn the things that you have been told all your student and practice lives. Most of the practitioners in our region and beyond, not only SAFA but beyond, are small and medium practices whose strengths have traditionally been built on precision, compliances, structured processes, and trusted and personalized relationship with our clients. These are foundations that still continue to remain vital. But if we want to scale up and grow in these changing world with AI and different type of services which we are supposed to be executing, they are no longer sufficient on their own. Old practices are no longer sufficient on their own. The theme of this webinar, hence, is selected carefully and is particularly relevant to small and medium practices. And in effect, it says all about the objective of this webinar, which is to help us scale up and become bigger by shifting our focus from traditional record keeping jobs that we have been and auditing jobs that we have been doing to changing our mindset and then thinking about providing services, becoming a strategic advisor, and from compliance driven delivery to value driven delivery, and from effort based execution, effort based as and to be to think about outcome based thinking using technology as a supporting tool. I would not dwell into the technical aspects of these topics any further at this point of time. Let our experts talk about it, which shall be an interactive session, which is designed in such a way that it will be an interactive sessions where questions will be asked and answers will be given by the experts. The eminent experts that ICAI has compiled are experienced and experts in their field. I'm sure there would be some key takeaways for everybody attending the webinar, including us who will be also be participating in this process. Finally, I congratulate the chairs and members of SAFA and ICAI committee organizing this webinar. I would also like to thank the secretariat and the support team for all the technical and other coordination. Special thanks to the speakers and all the participants from different POAs attending the webinar from India and Nepal and everywhere, everybody from the region. Welcome once again, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we are now having with us, and we are deeply honored to welcome Mr. Mohammad Humayun Kabir, the President of SAFA, a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. With over 4 decades of distinguished professional experience, Mr. Kabir is widely respected across South Asia for his expertise in fiscal and taxational laws, corporate governance, microeconomic policy, business and financial strategy. His leadership across regulatory boards, public sector enterprises, business chambers, and international forums, including IFEC, has significantly contributed to strengthening public trust in the accounting profession. He truly exemplifies belief that professional excellence must always be anchored in ethics, integrity, public interest. Sir, we are grateful for your guidance and honored by your presence today. Sir, request for your remarks.
Thank you, Priyanshuji, for your kind words about me. At the beginning, I thank you, our Vice President Provinja ji, for your say that setting the tone, and so very for your words of wisdom, brother. And very beginning also, I want to recall that I think just 1 week before, on 9th February, if I remember correctly, we just had on the similar subject, that's mindset gap, that bridging the mindset. In this series, we have just within a week time, we had a very successful webinar. And that's basically one of the subset that's empowering the journey, vision to victory, and that 1% advantage, where we learn that technically we are competent as an accountant, but there is a psychological breeze to cross to reach the true excellence, that we have to, as a successful accountant of today, we have to our commitment to become not only I will say an accountant, but to represent the time where everybody wants to be at least 1% better every single day, so that we change our habit, we become better in communication, and we learn at least technological tools for our profession. Now, today we have the second series, which about all you know that about the to this session is about the bridging the mindset, the unlearning the old ways towards scalability and growth. While I just very beginning to say that, as our Vice President is saying, my congratulations to the newly elected President and Vice President, to the ICI, and also my salutation to the committee, particularly the Madhukarji, who is steering this committee, arranging this webinar with a short span of time and choosing this very smartly, the mindset series. And I understand that he will continue this series, a couple of other webinar very soon on the same subject. Distinguished member of SMC Committee of SAFA, leadership from the Committee of Members in Practice of ICI, and fellow professionals, dear guests, it is our honor to be present today and to discuss some very important topics of the day. We are not just discussing technical standards or regulatory updates. We are discussing the very engine that drives our profession, that is our mindset. For decades, the accounting profession has been built on the pillar of the way it is always been doing. This tradition gave us stability, but in the era of rapid digitalization and the shifting global economies, the same stability can become a case that is a confined basket. We often find ourselves trying to solve 2026 problem with a 1990s playbook. The title of this webinar, Bridging the Mindset Gap, highlights a critical truth that growth is not just about what we learn. It is about what we're willing to unlearn. And then what is about that unlearning? Unlearning the idea that every professional firm, the billable hours that we count, you work, how many hours you work, are only measure of value. That we have to first thing that we have to unlearn. Second unlearning is the resistance to automation and AI as threat rather than tools. Third unlearning to me is the siloed approach to practice management. To achieve true scalability, we must transition from being historian of financial data to being architect of business value. Scalability requires a mindset that prioritizes system over manual effort and strategy over mere compliance. As we inaugurate this webinar, I urge every participant to listen not what with the intent to confirm what we already know, but with the courage to challenge your existing patterns. Let this be a start of a journey towards a more agile, scalable, and resident SAFA professional community. My thanks to the SMP committee and ICI for organizing this timely dialogue. I wish you all a highly productive and transformative session. Thank you all for giving your attention to me. Thank you. Prince, I think you are muted.
And thank you, sir. So finally, we come on to the session of the day with our eminent speakers, CA Sharikam Contractor and CA Niranjan Joshi ji. Our first eminent speaker, CA Sharikam Contractor, is the name that commands immense respect in the professional fraternity. He is a personality of transformation, scale, and sustainability, specializing in strategy, reconstructing, valuation, mergers, and acquisitions. He has successfully demonstrated how vision, governance, leadership mindset, and strong system can transform a traditional practice into a globally respected professional institution. His insights today will challenge us to rethink how we define scale, how we build leadership within firms, and how collaboration can unlock exponential growth. Our second speaker and the session moderator, what I can say, CA Niranjan Joshi ji is a highly respected authority in the audit assurance, peer review, and professional standards, a fellow member of ICI and trusted trainer across the country. He has played a pivotal role in capacity building of CA firms, particularly in areas such as quality control systems, ethical frameworks, peer review and practice excellence, networking, and firm building models. His strength lies in bridging traditional audit excellence with modern scalability requirements, making the perspective both practical and deeply relevant for today's practitioners. So, the interactive session we would be starting here now. So, Niranjan Joshi ji, Sharik sir, I would please request to please take this virtual uh, stage is yours now.
Thank you very much, Priyanshu, for the kind words used. Uh, Respected Mohammad Humayun Kabir, FCA, President of SAFA, Sir Praveen Jha, Sir, Vice President, Madhukar Hiregange, Sir, our own Central Council member and head of the committee. Obviously, Priyanshu, who has been coordinating for us, and uh, Sharik sir, let's start with this discussion. It's always pleasure to be part of any ICI program, and certainly the beginning has been very good. I would say that when we first interacted on how to take forward this subject, Sharik sir was very clear in his mind about how we should take this particular topic forward, and I think based on our discussion, what we thought of, I think all our three eminent personalities who addressed us in the beginning have carried almost the same values which we are going to discuss. So I think I would take it forward by requesting Sharik sir to take a minute through his journey as an individual practicing chartered accountant, to what scale he has grown, and maybe in short he can just give an insight about why this particular topic we have chosen today to discuss about unlearning the old ways towards scalability and growth. So over to you, Sharik sir.
Thank you, Niranjan. Pleasure to be here. First of all, Priyanshu, thanks for inviting me, and thank you all the dignitaries who are there on the seminar for being present here. So it's a pleasure here, and I think it's a topic which I feel strongly about. I have developed my entire practice based on the belief that you cannot continue to live in the old way. As I keep telling all my juniors and even my peers that change is inevitable, growth is optional. You may or may not want growth because change is going to happen. You have to move with it. If you don't move with it, you become irrelevant. In my practice, we as a firm have grown, and I think as we discussed, I would like to share with all of you in brief my journey, because it will put in context what we are talking about and how one has achieved the growth that one is talking about. And I think I would like to put it in context to say it is not about the growth we have achieved. It is about the lessons that we learn. I think if I can give and share some of my experiences, it may help people in start that particular journey. My own firm was started by my grandfather in the 1930s. In the institute record, the seniority of my firm is from 1936. My father joined as a partner thereafter. And then in 1981, I joined as a partner. So it was a purely family firm. And we were doing extremely well as a family firm. But when I joined, there was this discomfort that are we achieving fully to the extent that we can, the kind of education that we've got. And I was at that point in time extremely active with the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, would attend the study circle meetings where a lot of seniors were very actively participating at that point in time. And I would argue with them. And they encouraged me to argue with them, and that sort of developed my confidence. And then later on, those seniors told me to start leading study circles and so on. And therefore, in a way, a seed of discontent was implanted to say, I am capable of doing much more. I remember approaching my father and saying, can we not change the structure? Can we not add in more partners? Can we not take in other people? And at that time, as I think most of us would understand, people were reluctant. My father was very reluctant. He felt our firm was doing well and that I was chasing a rainbow, that you were disturbing the status quo and that could harm us. I had to actually work with him a lot. And then I told him, but I need to take in partners. I can do much more. I remember once when we were sitting and I said, I want to take up consulting assignment because we were traditionally doing audit and tax. So I said, I want to take up consulting assignment. And he said, but who's going to manage the tax and audit? I said, you and my brother are there. Let me get out. You will have to work a little harder. Let me try and develop this. If it doesn't work, I come back. And I remember I got some assignments. One assignment of Citibank that I got of consulting in their in the depository section. And after a while, my brother comes and tells me that this was great because this one fee meets all our cost. Everything else becomes a profit. So I think taking some chances is important. It's important if you want to grow to change your mindset from merely being a professional to also being an entrepreneur. You may have to take certain risks. The problem is we as accountants, we as professionals are extremely reluctant to take any risk. I'm not talking about reckless risk, but I'm talking about taking calculated risk. You should be aware what is the worst that will happen if I fail in this risk. Because the point to remember is in today's world, not taking a risk is the biggest risk because you are going to be wiped out over a period of time. I have known enough senior firms now coming to me and telling me, would you be willing to take us? We can merge with you? And very often the answer is, we are interested in your juniors. We are interested in the people that you have, but you yourself are now more than 60 years of age or 70 years of age. We are not interested in you people anymore. So you become irrelevant. I am myself 68 years of age, but you have to develop something where you create an institution, and I will talk more about it later on. Today, after all these effort, we are a firm of more than 1,000 people. We are located in 13 locations, including in the UAE, three setups in UAE, that is in Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and UAE. And as we speak, we are planning to set up another overseas entity. So I think the growth happens if you change your mindset. And I think it is in this context that, Deranjan, I would like to discuss what and give my actual insights of the journey, actual anecdotal examples that we have worked upon in order to achieve this growth. Not everything succeeds, but out of 5, even if one succeeds, you are on the right path.
That was fantastic, sir. I think that's what set the tone for deciding this particular topic. And the moment I was told that Sharik Contractor, sir, would be the one who would be leading this, then, I aptly chosen to become a moderator and giving some inputs on, from my little bit experience. I can share that, becoming a speaker was something like a turning point, and I realized that, when I was attending a program, I realized that, I think this particular audit assurance topic can be dealt with in a better fashion. So, somebody suggested, why don't you speak? And, I'm partner in a firm which is a mid-sized firm where it was not easy to, afford sparing of time by the leading partners to work for. But, when we decided to, do that, I can certainly tell you that, the journey has been fantastic. Practically, the entire structure of doing traditional ways of auditing, I got fascinated with, one statement. I don't remember exactly whether it was Peter Drucker's book or Thomas Edison's book, but I heard that, innovation is, rather, I read that, innovation is work above all. And that innovation, caught my attention. And then I realized that, today's topic is perfect for me, because to be innovative, you have to no doubt keep in mind what we have learned out of your own mistakes. But at the same time, you must be ready for change, like you have to bring in innovation starting from your mindset, starting from technology to, all the relevant professional standards or technical standards when you are into assurance. And, then I realized that, a lot of people who have done a lot of research and come out with fantastic products. Like I remember one statement by the great Thomas Edison, that I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways which don't work, like he must have tried to develop a product for so many times and must have failed. But what happens is, in our typical CA practice, we try to stick to what we have been doing just to get a comfort out of it. And then we realize that, you have missed a lot. So I think very good start, sir. Some of the points which I really appreciate is that, the statement which you made, change is inevitable, growth is optional. So, it's a fantastic start. I would like to take it further and ask you a direct question, because, this topic is no doubt for those who have to understand and unlearn lot of things and move forward. But practically for all of us today, the big question which is coming to our minds is, whether a next big Indian firm emerge from India. And I think from the points which you shared just now and the kind of scalability you have achieved, I think you would be the right person to give an answer to this particular billion-dollar question everybody in a lot of capacity building programs asking about is, can the next big India firm emerge from India? And I think based on some inputs which you have given, I think we are already, seeing a sign that yes, there could be. So over to you, sir, with your thoughts on can a big firm emerge out of India?
So I think this is a topic on which obviously we have paid a lot of attention. I think the entire ecosystem as it stands today is geared to try and ensure that Indian firms become scalable. But there are a couple of things that we must understand. Today, the government of India is actively pushing the concept that Indian firms should become multinational. The institute also is working in that same direction. But one must understand one thing very clearly. When you say an Indian firm should become one of the next multinational firms, it's an oxymoron. Why is it an oxymoron? Because if an Indian firm becomes a multinational firm, it may not be an Indian firm anymore. Do we accept that proposition, or are we still looking at an Indian firm becoming big? There is a big difference. It is possible that if a firm becomes big, its biggest business may come from a jurisdiction other than India. So at best, we can say that a next big firm should be a firm which originated from India. Multinational firm by definition means it would be having multi locations and it may not have the dominant presence in any one country. So I think that is one point that has to be remembered. Secondly, in order for this to succeed, I'm sure Indian firms have the capabilities of scaling up. But a lot more has to be done. A lot has been done, but a lot more has to be done in terms of the government, the institute, the regulators, and the CA fraternity talking in the same voice. I think at times there are a bit of a differences in the way they talk, and therefore there is some amount of confusion as to how one should start. The third thing that is important to note is that becoming a large firm is not a sprint. You can't do it in 1 year's time. It is a marathon. It will take a long period of time. Look at the history of the multinational firm, or what we colloquially call the Big Four. The whole process started in 1989 with the merger of a few firms. It has taken them many years to reach this stage. And if anybody wants to emerge, they will have to follow that particular route, and an ecosystem has to be created. In order to do that, I would believe it is important first for Indian firms to get exposed to other international associations, learn the ropes as to say what is happening there, get the knowledge, get international exposure, and then obviously the world is your oyster. I think so. Answer simply is that of course it is possible, but a lot of things need to fall in place, including unshackling of the Indian firms. I think today a lot of us are shackled. We believe it is asking one to run with hands and legs tied up. Things are happening. I think the institute, the government is working towards it, but till that fully does not happen, I think Indian firms must first continue to establish their presence in the existing international association as a first stepping stone. This is my belief. I have discussed it with many people, and some people say, no, why can't we directly start establishing branches abroad? Not very easy. The first step, I think, is important. The reason you can't establish branches abroad also is because of the way the entire ecosystem is positioned. I cannot take a person in France, for example, as my partner because he's not India qualified. Because reciprocity is not there. They don't allow me to become a partner. I don't allow them to become a partner. And therefore, a loose association of being part of an international association becomes more viable, because inter country partnership is not possible unless everybody is qualified in the same jurisdiction.
I think well said, sir. I think your idea of the Indian firm becoming big with a MNC tag is like really good. We have already witnessed that. If you remember, in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of industrialists and entrepreneurs in India who started becoming big by venturing outside the country. And obviously nowadays we have got a lot of Indian companies which are called multinational companies. So
Correct.
absolutely a very vital input you have provided is that this could be a multinational company with an Indian origin, and that's certainly good. And obviously, as you rightly said, sir, even the government is proposing to support becoming a bigger firm in India for chartered accountants. A lot of developments like the capacity building measures or the multidisciplinary partnership effort, or maybe the aggregation of firms. All these efforts from ICI are also towards it. But even after all this, why there is a question in the mind of people, that why the chartered accountant firms are not scaling up. It has taken so much of efforts. Like I remember the first time the Committee for Small and Medium Enterprises in the year 2005 got the capacity building measures. And now in 2024, we got the aggregation of firms. So out of this 20 years, even today, the database which is generally published in the month of July by ICI gives us an impression that maybe around 70+% we are individual practitioners in India. Around maybe another 10% it would be around two partners, and maybe hardly 10% of the firms are in the range of say 4 to maybe X number of partners. So the big question here is, what are the main reasons what you see that CA firms are not scaling up, sir?
Yeah, good question. And a question which has baffled me. In fact, I have been invited to speak on this subject at so many places. And every time I'm invited, I tell them, I'm glad you came in. I'm glad you are showing interest to come and attend. but please show me some results at the end of it, because everybody comes and listens, but finally nobody is willing to take the action or the plunge. And I think the reasons can be manifold. And the way I have seen the one biggest reason why these things don't happen is the mindset to say, why put to risk a successful practice? We are doing well. Why do you want to put it to risk? As I mentioned earlier, taking no risk is the biggest risk. And when the time comes and when you are trying to look at mergers, it's too late. As one of my partner once mentioned, that you should look at expansion, the possibility of merger with other person when you see the light and not when you feel the heat. Because the problem is then you are in a vulnerable position and you are not going to get the right partner. The second reason why people wait and don't do it is this complete mindset to believe I will lose my independence. That if I join with somebody, I will not be my master. I will not be and jokingly somebody told me, "Arey, ghar pe jana hai, so at home I have to listen to my spouse. Now at the work I will have to listen to my partners. I don't want to join." So I said, you are the same people who complain that we are slaves to our clients because the client demands a particular thing. I have to slog hard. They don't give me data. All these usual complaints that are there. And I have strong views against people who have those complaints. But that may be a later question. So they have that complaint. So where is your independence in any case? Why are you shying away from joining? In fact, once you become larger, once you have good partners with you increase your independence. I know for a fact that when I merged, I was at that time president of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society. I could leave work to my other partners and say, I'm busy today, you handle it. Because you had the confidence that you had people of that caliber with you. If you don't take that chance, you're stuck. And then this stupid question about my tenancy rights will get affected. Somebody will have right in my property is all mindsets. You are not looking at the bigger picture and you're getting stuck in the same mindset that I will lose my independence. I will lose my clients. They will not want to me. They are personally dedicated to me. They will not. I think the mindset is wrong and that needs to be changed.
Based on my little bit experience of dealing with chartered accountants in especially MSME sector or maybe SME chartered accountant firms, I would also like to take this point forward, like the point which you mentioned about independence, especially in line with the Code of Ethics 2019, which ICI has come out with. Uh, they have briefly identified the 5 basic fundamental principles of independence. The integrity, the objectivity, the professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. I personally felt, what could be a main reason for why CA firms are not scaling up is number one, as you rightly pointed out, they are already contented, so they don't want to take a further risk to develop something new. In a general sense, what they try to tell you that, probably we are comfortable in what we are doing currently. But broadly speaking, when you enter into their field and understand actually where the mindset gap is, I always observe that, out of these pillars, integrity and objectivity is by and large, there is no gap, but professional competence and due care, I always believe that, there is a gap because there is a tendency to follow what we have been following for a number of years. And obviously, it, takes me back, to era where, we would say that we are continuously learning or a continuous program on education. All that is fine, but at the same time, we forget to unlearn. And I think that's where our topic is very relevant today. That no doubt I have been doing a particular activity in a fantastic manner, but at the same time, I think our all the dignitaries also touched this point, and sir, you also shared that. I think if we are not ready to change for the new beginning, new happenings, then obviously we will again go back. And somewhere that professional competence and due cares, where maintaining and attaining knowledge and continuing that knowledge and parting out with the team becomes tough. And then what happens is when I am not comfortable in the basic requirements of how to grow, then naturally I have that inferiority complex in my mind that when a group comes in, there would be more people. Like you gave a very funny example, I am answerable at home to the spouse. Obviously, I'll be answerable to so many people. So better be within myself. And I think by and large, why we are not seeing the scaling up at a small and medium practitioners level is because of this. And there have been so many supporting, things which ICI has been doing. I believe, all of us must take this advantage and take it forward to ensure that we come out of our shells. We ensure that, we tackle our issues with respect to, joining the group. The biggest risk is what they feel that, they will be exposed to one, two, three, four, five, and those things, they want to avoid. So, sir, what would you advise to all these people, that what are the advantages you could see from your personal experience, or otherwise also in general, the kind of ideas which you have, come across, that, what are the advantages of scaling up for, chartered accountants who are currently small and medium practitioners?
So before I go to that, I
Yeah,
want to
yes,
respond to some of the things that you mentioned. There is
yes,
a beautiful saying by John Maynard Keynes, the famous English economist. He
yeah,
used this terminology. The difficulty lies not in new ideas, but in escaping from old ones, which ramify into every corner of our mind. I think it's
perfect,
a beautiful quote that, it is, as chartered accountants, it is very easy for us to learn something. We are good at it. We will
correct,
bury our heads in the books and learn it. But the problem is we are not escaping from the old ideas. And I think that's important. The second related point to that comes is that, when you are running a small firm of what I call pop and mom shops. In fact, I had my international friend of mine. I was a part of that association. And he then called every small firm as Mickey Mouse firms. He was a Netherlands guy. He says, I don't want to stay in this association because there are too many Mickey Mouse firms. There are nobody who is scaled up. So that is what happens. And in today's world, what happens is that most of us have believed when we have been growing up that we as CA will do everything. I know that. My grandfather used to do everything. He was the auditor, he was a tax expert, he was everything. My father used to do that. But times have changed. Today, you will have to bring in people with domain expertise, and you will have to recognize that that other person is more knowledgeable than I am in that particular field. We sometimes don't want to accept that. We want to believe that I am the best. Everybody else comes must report to me. But the only way to scale up is bring in equals. Bring in people who are equally good in their field and they will teach you something. If you don't are not willing to do that, you can't possibly scale up, because if you want to do everything on your own, it's just not possible. So now your question. What are the, I think that's what you asked, right? What are the
correct. What are
advantages
the
of.
advantages of scaling up?
So I think let me go a little personal in this and say what is the advantages. We merged our practices in 2002. When I merged my practice at that time, we immediately after that we got a very interesting assignment in outside India. It was in Abu Dhabi. It was an assignment which was very unusual. We had to actually do some market research. We had to go and verify and sort of pretend that we are the customers, gather data and all that kind of thing. And I looked at my partner at that time, my newly recruited, I mean, we had merged, so we were new, and we said, we'll do it. And we started working on it. And later on, I asked my partner to say that, how do you think we are going to do it? And he looked at me and said that, if I was alone, I would have refused the job because I did not have the competency. But now that we are together, I have the strength to believe that between us, we'll manage to find a way. So the first lesson is the advantage of joining is that you increase your capabilities not by 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, but 1 plus 1 plus 1 becomes 33. So you leverage each other's advantage. You have a person to bounce your ideas off. You have intellectual stimulation of discussing something with somebody whom you respect and are close to. So that's an extremely important thing. It increases credibility and recognition. I think a lot of us complain that we don't get good human resources. We can't recruit good people. But if you scale up, then a lot of people approach you for a job. I know for a fact that my firm is rated by new students as to what scale it is. They rate the new recruits articles who are coming in the market are rating you. In their books, there are okay, which is the best firm to do your articleship and so on and so forth. So if you scale up, you increase your attractiveness, you get better talent, you are able to do bigger work. I also remember a time when we were a small firm, and I thought I was doing a lot of work with the BCA and all that. And I was very excited because one foreign company came to me and I said, great, now I'm finally going to get some multinational company as a client, because we were doing very well, but we had no multinational clients. And they came and they were impressed with what we talked and all that. And then the question was asked, but who are the partners? And I said, my father, me, and my brother. And immediately the body language changed. And they said, okay, can you handle our personal files? But the corporate files were not given to us. And that is the time when I changed my mind and I said, we have to change this. I am capable, I am competent, I believe I am competent to be able to do much better work. I can't be stifled just because I am considered by the other person as a pop and mom shop. And if you combine together, you increase your circle of influence and you get attract. So you not only get better staff to be employed, you get better quality of clients, you are able to afford much more in improving your systems, processes, and technology. When you're an individual, you will say, if I have to spend 20 lakhs, oh, it's too much. But if you combine together, you are each spending 20 lakhs and you can spare a crore of rupees, and systems, processes, infrastructure investment. Today in AI, investment is absolutely essential if you want to grow. I don't think you have a choice. Either you become a domain expert in one area where you are an advisor to everybody else, or you have to scale up. I don't think there's a choice.
Absolutely right, sir. In fact, when I interact with a lot of SME firms, I realize that the reason for not scaling up is practically I can go back to our basics. Like most of us have stopped reading, and our reading today is based on need to know basis. Like what we require, only that much we read. And what's happening is, as you rightly said, since we are not scaled up, what we try to do is, we do not say no to any work which comes to us. So practically, my reading is based on the client's needs. And whereas if I have to scale up, absolutely, as you rightly said, we need some kind of expertise to build upon. And then absolutely, we must be able to share that when we become a bigger firm or a partner in a bigger firm. What happens is the research development work in any CA's mind stops when he stops reading. And when my reading is absolutely nil, or maybe only on need to know basis, there is no research development. And absolutely, when there is no research development, I am not privy to what's happening in the market today. And I'm not able to scale up my knowledge base, number one. Number two, the expertise. And then obviously, it brings an inferiority complex when I try to see that, before meeting you, I am, considering myself to be an equal. And when we meet each other, when we start interaction on talk about, how to take this forward and scale up, then I realize that I do not have enough material, I do not have enough research, and absolutely I'll be the one which will be lagging behind. So I exit. So I'll take you back to your comment, which you said, that when you interact with so many people on this particular subject, but the outcome is not coming. I think this is where I could, interact with all these and find out that, I'm not doing enough research, which is through a basic reading, and probably it is bringing me down. Sir, you also touched upon, an interesting fact about how to, ensure that a good talent comes to you because of the scale. And I think I perfectly agree with what you said. And at present, whenever we interact with a younger generation, chartered accountants or, article students, absolutely, the most of the SME firms are facing a drought on these. They are not getting the talent. And absolutely, when I do not have enough talent, then absolutely I have a problem with my succession. So, my next question to you is that since I'm not able to build up a scale, I'm not able to have enough partners who are having, sufficient expertise, knowledge. I do not have sufficient clientele, which, today's younger generation requires. So, apart from scaling up, how important you feel that, succession planning is also important for scaling up and a growth. Because as you rightly said, some of them are firms which are being traditionally family-owned firms. Some of them remain to be, contended to what they are doing, so they remain a SME firm for a longer period. And a particular age approaches, then what to do with whatever XYZ amount of practice which I have, what kind of work which we have. So how important is succession planning in this entire journey of scaling up and growth, sir?
Yeah. So first, the article part of the problem, articles judge you. They also want to, because obviously when they join a firm, they are also looking at their career. It is obvious. What is the point of not recognizing that? But the important thing is, I think as firms, we must stop our dependence only on articles. I think enough CA firms are looking upon articles as a cheap resource. But if you really want to scale up, you must hire competent people with domain expertise. It could be IT professionals, it could be if you are doing hospitality sector, people in that sector, and so on and so forth. Now, when we talk about succession, what do we mean? And I think a lot needs to be done. And it is a topic on which I have personally given deep thought. And I will tell you how my firm or we have planned succession. When I'm saying this personal anecdote, I'm sharing our journey. It does not necessarily mean that everybody must follow the same path. But how do you attract good people? When we merged, after that, a lot of like-minded people approached us and merged their fact practices with us. So the karma, so to say, kept growing because you had more and more people coming in. What attracted them to us? The first thing that we did was we ensured that this is no longer a family managed firm. We made that message loud and clear that the growth of a person will depend upon his merit, his ability, and not whether he belongs to a particular family or no. And I'll give you an example. When we merged, me and my brother, we have a 9-year difference. My father at that time insisted on putting a condition in the partnership deed that if something happens to me, then my brother will step into my shoes, because me and two others, we had merged together. The three of us were kind of principal partners. So he put in this clause and insisted that if something happens to Sharik, then his brother will step, my other son will step into his shoes. After 2 or 3 years of merger, I went to my father with the consent of my brother that we have to remove this clause, because this clause is creating a view that this is still a family firm. And if he is not accepted as a leader by everybody else, he cannot be a leader. We have to accept that position. And that clause was removed. So I think that messaging is extremely important. The other very important thing we did is that now we are getting good quality people. What I mentioned to you is people who are of such quality that I cannot say that I know better than them. I must accept that they, in certain respects, know more than me. If I'm in tax, in audit, they are much better than me, and many, many things. So how do you attract them? One option is in abroad. If you see, if I reduce my share of profit, I sell it to somebody else. They should buy. I should get a goodwill of my share. We very early on decided that the goodwill of the firm does not belong to an individual partner. It belongs to the firm. Therefore, a new person coming in automatically gets a share in the goodwill. I have been asked, so what did we do? Let me put it very clearly what we did. We put in a clause in the partnership deed very early on, when I must have been in my mid 40s or something, to say that when the senior partner reaches the age of 65, he automatically steps down as a principal partner. It was put in the deed. So it was in black and white. It could not be reversed. On attaining 65, I stepped down as a principal partner and the other persons were appointed. And as luck would have it, and my father, who is no longer with me, would be smiling away in heaven, that the person who was chosen to be appointed by a democratic process was my brother. So we had to remove him as a kind of a thing that this is, family must be appointed. He was appointed. And people ask me that, no, you're going to step down, but what about the goodwill? You have developed the firm, you are founding partners, you will just walk out without a goodwill? We have a mechanism of what we get, 1 year's earning and all that, but the goodwill concept is not there. And my answer to them is, because we have removed the concept that the new partners come in are having a clear career path, they really work hard. I have earned my goodwill, I tell them, in advance, because they had a clear path to becoming a partner, not just a partner, but a managing partner of a firm. They have worked with all their heart and blood and sweat. And I have benefited because of that. So we have put this process in place of no goodwill, diluting our shares. The founding partners constantly died. So we would take in partners with a fixed share, then make him a variable share, and constantly reduce our share to give others a share. I think that is a concept which has worked, and a lot of people today are unwilling in family firms to reduce their share or reduce or give the share only to their family members. And I think that is an important, extremely, succession and growth are so intertwined that you cannot achieve growth without having a proper succession plan in place. Yeah.
On a very important point about goodwill, and this is also one of the important points which, I also have experienced when I interact with the small and medium practitioners. Like, number one, even today, everybody is so attached to the names, like
Yeah.
each firm has a particular name, and when 10 firms put together, it's impossible to have the names or surnames or a combination of alphabets of all 10 coming together. So that is one area which is something which is very near and dear to most of the SME firms. And that comes out of a contention that, whatever I have achieved till now in terms of turnover, in terms of clients, in terms of some expertise which is developed, I think I am a super expert and I have enough goodwill, which I should fetch even if I don't work. So I think your answer was fantastic, to note that as you scale up, obviously you should ensure that the goodwill remains with the firm, because obviously every factor about the grown firm is a contributor, and it's very pertinent to note that we must highlight the importance of all the people who are working together as main contenders for that. Sir, that becomes another challenge. I believe that this unnecessarily, overthinking about the goodwill and overthinking about sharing something confidential with other partners, I think that has been a deterrence or a hindrance, you could say, for coming together and scaling up. So naturally, the kind of examples which you quoted for succession planning, I think must be well noted by most of the participants, and I think they should overcome this concept of goodwill. Another important factor, I always tell in my discussions with them on this topic is like goodwill is something which is derived out of something kept with the firm. Like most of us during our careers as individuals, maybe partners with one or two partners together, we try to withdraw everything what we earn in a particular year, and there is nothing which is called investment which remains, which could fetch a goodwill. Also, one concept which I thought, sir, I should share here is that, for this succession planning, the biggest idea which I recommend to, SME firms is like one has to be a giver, like goodwill, whenever somebody talks to me as a goodwill, I believe he's not a giver, he's a taker, because goodwill is something should fetch something to me even if I don't work. That's the mindset. Whereas for succession planning, or also for scaling up or for going towards growth, I personally believe somebody who has an intention to become a giver, then giver could be for any time, like anything: time, expertise, knowledge, research development, management skills, doing a particular type of work, doing investment for that matter, technology, AI, anything which will help the firm to grow is something which I call giver. And majority of us who are SME firms, they can grow or they can scale up only when we give an opportunity for somebody who is not only from our lineage or our relation, but with the kind of attitude of being giver, could be given this opportunity. I think it could probably work.
But
Eh,
Niranjan, just to interrupt you there,
yes, please.
I think it's both ways, right? Absolutely correct concept that you have to be a giver. But when you attract good people, that other person will also be a giver because you will
Correct.
attract like, and therefore the combination works beautifully to enhance and scale up.
You said it, sir, perfectly, right? Like every time I talk on this, I get a question that if everybody is giver, who is taker? I said collectively, all of us become takers, because when everybody is ready to give something, obviously what they get back is much more than. Like you just, minutely said that in a particular line, which you said that obviously, boss, at the age, attaining a particular age, I must step down as a managing partner. And that itself shows the fact that you have an opportunity provided you are giver. What you can give is you can demonstrate that you can be a good leader. You can demonstrate that you can be somebody who can lead the firm based on what values our seniors have kept to us. And obviously, you will remain as mentor for some more period. So again, you are a giver even after you step down as managing partner. So for every level, one has to define what one can give for this growth. This brings to my next question, that every time, there may not be individuals who would demonstrate this, but how do a scaled up firm will grow, and how growing will help delegation. So how important is delegation, how it is essential, and how to manage that without losing control? Because till the time you ensure you put a trust on somebody who can succeed in a particular environment, till that time there has to be some kind of control also to be kept, because the scaled up firm must demonstrate that it's a team which is working. So how important is delegation, and how you look at it, and how one should look at it, sir?
So I think again, let me begin by giving a example of what in real life we have tried to do. First of all, when you talk about delegation, one must understand that it is not delegating work. You can't just delegate, you must delegate and also empower. Unless you empower the person, delegation is meaningless. I think a lot of us as chartered accountants believe that we know all and we like to micromanage everything that is happening by our juniors. We don't allow them to flourish. We don't allow them to express themselves. And that's a problem. Now, I'll tell you the example that I had. I had a person with me who is still a partner with me now, doing extremely well. And when he had just joined me, we had started the firm. He was there in the firm and he was doing exceptionally well. I wanted to retain him. And he was good and therefore impatient. He also wanted to try different things. Now, when he was handling work, the clients would always come and say, Mr. Contractor, you also have to look at these things. And this boy was very, very competent. And I remember having told the client that when you go to this person, he is extremely competent. And if he has a doubt, he will come to me. But you don't have to come to me directly, go to him. And he will solve your problem and he will, I've already, I know his competency. And the client said, no, but this is an extremely big assignment and we want you to only look at it. And I did this. I have actually done this. I told the client, then the fees are double. And they said, oh, but why? I said, you are going to get my inputs irrespective because you're going to him. But if you feel the assignment is so important and you want my help, this is the fee. You decide whether you want to go through him or you want to come to me. And the client started directly dealing with that person. I mean, 1 or 2 assignments, they came to me, okay, we'll pay you the extra money. But I actually put my foot down and said, this is what it is. It worked beautifully because it empowered him. It made him flourish. And I think I was able to retain him exactly because of this, because at times it is not money, it is a power, it's a feeling that I am able to express myself that becomes important. Of course, there were problems. My father at that time looked at me and said, this boy will take away the work and go away because you are giving him too much authority. And I had told my father at that time, I have enough confidence in myself that I will get 10 other work, But if I don't delegate, I have come to a stage beyond which I cannot grow. So I think delegation is extremely important. But when I say delegation, most of us mean by delegation giving work to somebody else, but not empowering them. I think delegation without empowerment is meaningless. You have to trust the person. Obviously, you have to test the person before you trust the person. But once you trust the person, you have to delegate. You have to, and I think all of us have experience. We have sometimes had a good person whom we feel, Are, nahi, he's not yet ready. I have to supervise, I have to check, I have to do this, I have to do that. And finally, that person leaves, and 8 years, 5 years later, you see that the person is doing exceptionally well. And you look at yourself and said, I should have let go. I should have allowed that person to flourish. And I think that is the trick of delegation. Understand one thing, you are not the best at everything that you do. Nobody is the best at everything that you do. Others may have a different way of doing it. Don't micromanage it. Allow them to, of course, ensure that they don't make a stupid mistake and the reputation of the firm is at stake. That is paramount. But having that said that, I think we micromanage.
Certainly, sir, trust is very important, and I think unless the meeting of minds, unless the understanding at same level, I think it's not possible to become a team member as well. And the kind of requirements today we have, the kind of confidentiality we have to maintain with the kind of data which we process, I think
Very.
very worth it. You touched upon little bit on my next question also in this answer. Actually, I wanted to ask you that on this level, what would be the other things you would have done probably, or what would you do differently if you had a second chance on all this? You said something little bit, but can you just drag it forward? That is, given a chance, like say for example what you said, that the delegation is without empowerment, then it has no meaning unless you have a trust, unless you push it, it won't come to. But based on your experience, how would you have any other alternate to this also, like say for you, example you said that your assessment was bit different of an individual, and after some time you realize that probably it could have been done in a different way. So overall, looking at all this scenario, this delegation or having partners, etc., could there be anything else which you thought you could have done it at the time of beginning, and maybe today you are implementing? Like, I can give you my small example. Like based on what last 30 minutes of interaction with you, probably I think that if a second chance is given to me, probably I would not have started a practice as a proprietor, but I would have given more thought on starting a practice with somebody who's already having some kind of a benchmarking, some kind of a scaling up. So I think that's something which tomorrow onwards, if somebody asks me that what Niranjan you would have done differently, I would certainly say that based on our last 30 to 45 minutes discussion. So is there anything which you would give a second thought and say something, sir?
I will. So my very
Ah,
short answer to that is, if I were given a second shot, I would have ensured that I made more mistakes.
perfect.
Because the problem that we face is that we are so scared of making mistakes that you are losing so many chances. Maybe if I would have made 10 more mistakes, out of that 10, two would have succeeded. But and I can reflect back and say I could have started that, but I took a decision that no, it's not likely to succeed. What was the downside? And I think today that is a very important thing. I'll tell you also, at the beginning of my career, as I said, CNK was formed, mine was a family firm and all that. Early stages when I qualified, I had approached again my family and said that, I have a person, let's start a firm together. And at that time, my family was very clear. My firm was at that time called HM Contractor and Company, which is my grandfather's name. And they were very clear, in the family firm, no non-family member can ever come. And therefore, all you can do is start a separate firm, and that firm you can take other partners, but that also not from our premises, another premises and all that. So those were constraints that we were working in, because we had this mindset that, family firm and nobody can come in. And there were lots of cases where, I could have had an opportunity to start a firm abroad. And then you got scared because you felt that it was not the right thing. Hiring a technology partner, I think we had an opportunity of doing that maybe 3 or 4 years back. whether I personally, I am reflecting back and saying it would have been a good, it was extremely expensive. It was not cheap to hire a person, and we said, but suddenly I will have to incur so much cost, but the revenue is not, so at least. But the firm had enough profits. What would have happened, it could have happened is that the profits would have reduced for 1 or 2 years. It is not as if we would have made losses or we would have wiped ourselves off. So I think the most important lesson that I'm telling everybody is, don't be scared of taking decisions. Don't be scared of taking calculated risks, because otherwise you will not succeed. There are big things that are happening, big changes that are happening here. And how will you be able to tackle that change if your mindset is going to be completely that, no, old way, what I have done all these years have succeeded, so it will continue. What has succeeded in the past is not going to succeed in the future. It is very clear. So you will have to change, and you will have to take risks, and you will have to think and do things differently from what you've been doing. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. The most important deterrent is that we are not ready to invest first. You have to
Correct.
invest first and then go for it. I think that's a big learning thing for all of us to grow. Sir, coming back to
Have
this,
a entrepreneur mindset.
absolutely. Everybody puts in capital first and then fetch the return. Here, most of the SME firms are not ready to invest, so naturally everything pulls back. Coming back to the scalability and growth, sir, like uh, how important do you think branding is? Because there are two schools of thoughts. Like even if I scale up, even if I grow, how to compete a brand? And then there is another school of thought, with younger mindsets, those who are more IT savvy, those who are ready to take higher risk. Like they would say, branding is not a problem. I need everything put together so that I would create a brand. So how would you guide, sir? Like how important branding is for scalability, or vice versa? How they complement each other?
Yeah.
You take, sir.
Let me give an example. In India, if you fall sick and you have to meet a doctor, the mindset almost inevitably is, I know this doctor. Your loyalty is to a person, that I know this particular doctor and therefore I should go. So we don't trust the institution, we trust the individual. This is the Indian mindset, so to say. I believe abroad in Western countries, in more developed things, they are associated with an institution. I am sick, I will go to this hospital. It does not matter whether it is this doctor or that doctor, because they trust the institution. Now, in a CA profession, it is obvious that any professional, his own personality will dominate, clients will respect him, not like it. But within that constraint, can we not create an institution which is an institution where the person respects and not the individual? And you can actually work on it. How do you work on it? That when somebody comes to you, across every partner, the look and feel of the thing is the same. The same quality is given, the same type of, I mean, at a very small level, it is like the same fonts are used, the same font size are used, the same manner of presentation is kept, and so on and so forth. At the a little higher level, the opinion should be standardized. So if there's an interesting opinion that has come and you have done research on it, that should be translated across the firm so that another partner does not give a different view. All this can create a brand, because unless and until you create a brand, succession doesn't happen. Because otherwise the loyalty remains with the partner, and after the partner goes away, the client goes away. But reverse is also true. Your clients are loyal to you because you have a relationship with a person. I have had this one occasion where I have a very close relationship with a particular person and he has been my client. Now, that person with whom I have a close relationship is retiring and his children are taking over. Now, the children are not comfortable with me. They may want to deal with a younger person. But if I have not developed a younger person and I have not created a brand where they can go. And it was very interesting. The children, I was very close to them because they had grown up, and I mean, I knew them as children. And they actually came and sat with me and said, Uncle, we are not very comfortable coming to you because we cannot contradict you. We cannot argue with you. If we feel that, we are not in agreement with you, there is too much respect and we just cannot speak up against you. We would like to deal with somebody younger with whom we can freely argue. So one must remember these things, that branding helps people go to other people also. How do you grow? How do you scale up if everybody is going to come to you? You should have an institutional brand. I remember one other anecdote, that I had a client with whom I had a very good relationship, and I was doing a lot of work for him. And then when tax work came, I introduced another partner. When audit work came, I introduced another partner to him, and so on. And we were sort of growing. And at a party, when he met me, he said, Sharik, what I liked about your firm is you have got excellent people with you. Everybody that I've gone to has given me excellent service. Now that is branding. That is branding. If you cannot have other people, you are only a sole lone ranger kind of thing, it doesn't happen. And branding therefore creates and builds an institution. It creates a path for succession, and it creates a continuity for the firm and for generations to keep coming to you. I think that is the important part. Yeah.
I think very importantly said that, we are the ones who should bring the brand rather than a brand bringing to us, some kind of scalability. So very well thought of. Uh, Obviously, when we are talking about this scaling up, you touched upon little bit on international association or international exposure. But how do you rate this international exposure when it comes to scaling up? Does it really matter at what level? And I think how one should look at it.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this, Niranjan, very simple. I became part of an international association. Uh, After that, right now, we have sort of resigned from that because of various issues and all that. But I was part of it. I was also chairman of that association. So for 4 years, I was chairman of that association. It was a fantastic experience. Now, did we get a lot of work coming to us because of the association? The answer is no. Did we give work out? The answer is a little bit. But the important thing was that every time a client we met, and a big client that we met, they would ask us, oh, if I have something in Germany, can you help us? And my answer is yes, we are part of an association. We can recommend to you some good person out there. That itself changes your branding. Because the mindset of the other person is, oh, now you have international exposure. I think it's irrelevant whether you get work or you don't get work. It is important as you scale up to also have international brands, international exposure, international connects, because your client should have the option to come to you and say, I have something in Germany, I have something in France, I have something in Italy. Can you recommend somebody whom you trust? And I can therefore trust. It is an important thing. Why do people, I mean, at a particular level, there are hundreds of people who will do your work. But when somebody is going abroad, the first thing he wants is somebody whom he can trust. And as a CA, if you invest your time in being part of an association, developing friendships with other professionals all over the world, you will be able to tell with confidence your client that yes, I have somebody else. And I have realized that branding itself improves your credibility in the eyes of the client, and sometimes they give you much better work, much higher end work, because they believe you are now a firm with more capabilities. I think it's a very important thing. Irrespective of whether work flows from that international association or no is irrelevant, but the fact that you are part of an international association improves your credibility in the eyes of your existing clients, who will give you more challenging work with greater confidence.
I think you really pointed out the importance of international exposure, sir. All managing this, I think I'll again bring you back to some basic questions with respect to the firm, the size, managing. Like, how do you see develop a future leader? Like, say, for example, when you took this decision, as you rightly said, like you took one particular right step forward and you ensured that, certain basic check boxes you have been ticking all the way along. But at the same time, you could develop some of the leadership either by virtue of putting it in writing that I would step down at a particular point, or maybe based on certain exposure or certain experience or certain expertise you find in one of your partners, so that you put your foot down saying that, boss, I will not come every time. He will be looking at it, and if you want me, then the fees would be double. So those kind of decisions you have taken. So based on that, I would like to ask you a simple question: that how you look at it, like how to develop future leaders to manage this scalability, growth, or succession. And
Yeah.
a joint question to that, since you are one of the founders or the partners who started it, what is the role of founders in managing growth? At what point of time they should ensure that they come out of one, two, three, four, five type of things, or at what point one, two, three, four, five they should add on to and supplement based on their wisdom. So two questions together: how to make leaders within the group from an outside, or maybe what could be the role of the founders at a particular time.
Okay. I will answer your second question first with an anecdote.
Okay.
So my father was a partner. He continued, but he stopped being the managing partner because I had taken up that responsibility, and the three of us who were the founding partners were taking the responsibility. But he would come for every partners meeting, and he would be sitting at the partners meeting. And I will give you two examples that after the meeting happened, we were going back home in the car, and he told me, Sharik, I don't think this decision that you people took was the right decision. So I looked at him and said that, but Dad, why did you not speak up at the meeting? And he said, no, I have decided that I will not speak up. I am now telling you that I feel it was not the right decision. If you think it is appropriate, you may want to take it up with the rest of the partners, but I will now not speak at the meeting directly like that. So a very, very conscious decision. And I think I respect my father that he was a person who was able to let go. I mean, he ran the farm. We used to all look upon him, but at a particular stage, he let go. And then I remember one of my other partners who at a particular meeting after he expired and stuff like that, she mentioned to me about my father. And she said that, at the partners meeting, your father would not speak too much, but whenever somebody asked him and he spoke, everybody listened. So I would hope that that is a kind of culture that we bring in. So I think it's important from a founder's point of view to know when to let go from being a managing partner to a mentoring partner and so on. Now, how do you, and I'll come to that a little later also, that it is important. No, okay, let me take it up right now. That as founders, the problem that we do is that we believe this is the way things have worked for me. I'm very good at public speaking. So I expect the next leader should be good at public speaking. I'm very good at writing. So I should be good at writing. Are we wanting the next generation to be leaders, or do we want them to be our clones? I think that's an extremely important point. Most people fail in the understanding the next leader will have his style of functioning. He will have his strengths and his weaknesses. He will take decisions differently from you. He is not your clone. And if you insist that everybody is going to be working the way you are working, you are in problem. You will not create a leader. Now, how did we create this succession? Your first question is that first and foremost, you have to put a framework in place. So you have to define well in advance what are the kind of qualities that you are looking in leaders. So I will tell you what we did. So we put in as complete parameters as to what do you expect a leader to be. We already have a partner appraisal system where partners appraise themselves on various parameters. Other partners give a view. So it's a 360-degree appraisal system that happens. But for succession, we said these are the important parameters, and you can put in any parameters. For example, technical competence is given, but not the most important thing. Ability to get work from outside, public visibility of that person, his acceptance amongst clients, his acceptance amongst the staff and other partners, his ability to look at the larger picture. and not look at his own vertical. So we put in various parameters. And then we ask the partner to judge on that and ask other partners to judge on that. Then we had a kind of a vote and decided. And before that happened, as founding partners, we introduced one or two of them within our group, that whenever we as founding partners were meeting to take up strategy decisions of taking various decisions, they would be part of it. So in a way, they would be shadowing us to see how decisions were happening, and then gradually get out of our shadow and do that. So it is not just simple to pick a right person. It is important to put a process in place, follow that process, and tell the person this process is in place. This is how it will be done. And it was a democratic process, because that time we thought of whether one of us, whether an outsider should come in, whether we should form a committee, whether we should create a broad board structure, and so on. There are many, many choices that are there. And we discussed all that and then decided on this particular framework to be followed for finding the next level of leaders. So right now, I have stepped down. My other partner has also stepped down. So out of the three founding partners, only one of them continues as a principal partner. The two of us continue to act as mentors, and other partners have come in. We are still believing that they are being trained, but we are also accepting that their style of functioning will be very different from ours, because they are leaders in their own right and not our clones. Yes, Niranjan.
It's like a team and a captain, like a captain who makes a habit to win matches. I think he's being greatly rewarded by all good praise and all. But when after he steps down and if the team starts losing, then it's
Correct.
it's a failure of that captain as well. Actually, he has nothing to do. But in our kind of scenario, what you rightly said, is that hand holding, like taking them together for decision making, and then bringing out objective as well as subjective criteria to ensure that a right leader is emerging. I think it's a well thought of process, and I think that's something which very important. Another important factor we have been learning, like I remember when I qualified, I got a publication which was sent to my residence address. It was a code of ethics, whichever as that time it was, applicable. And since then, that book has been, on the forefront. I've been keeping it in my table wherever. And when I started talking on that subject, I realized most important factor about it is that it has to be within ourselves. It's nothing but the way of life. It is not something which somebody teaches us, but we observe talking to people, interaction, talking to our bosses during the articleship time, during the practice, watching people were professionals, and we understand that the ethical behavior or the ethics generally are very important. So what is your take on how important are these ethics in uh, ethics of all individuals, or ethical behavior of all those individuals in growth? Because merely following ICI standards is not sufficient. Because one cannot say that I follow ethics 90%, 10% I don't follow. That's not possible. Either I have to be ethical or not ethical. So in a broader perspective, it's obvious that one has to be ethical. Well, that's the basic. But as a scaled up firm or a grown firm, I mean, is there anything you would like to contribute in, saying that to the people, that why one should look at, the ethics as, the first step towards coming together and obviously growing together?
Yeah, so I think institute has its own role of code of conduct and ethics and all that. And as you rightly said, it's a given that we have to follow that. There's no question about it. If we feel that there are certain things that need modification changes, it's a representation collaborative process. But I think ethics is a mindset. We have to be able to imbibe that in our very institutional framework. Now, why do I say that? Because if you are scaling up and if you are not founded on proper ethics, then it is like free for all kind of a situation, and it creates a huge problem. So I think it's extremely important to ensure that you have an ethical framework which is percolated downwards to everybody else. And as you again rightly said, ethics is not just about doing the right thing. Somebody gave an example that there's a difference between being principle centered and being value centered. Now, I may have a value. For example, the answer was Hitler was very value centered. He wanted to make Germany great again. He wanted to broaden the boundaries of Germany and all that. And he was driven by that particular value. But was it principle centered? Answer is no. So I think it is important to be a basic principle centered. And I'll give you a couple of examples there. Why is it important? Because as you're scaling up, as I said, it will be free for all. Do you take money in cash from your clients as you scale up? How will you manage as you are growing up with 1,000 people if everybody starts taking cash money? You just say that you. So what I'm trying to say is that from a scaling up point of view, ethics is not just a principal decision, it is a survival decision. Your firm will not be able to scale up if you are not grounded in proper ethics. It is not a question that it is the right thing to do. It is the only way. How will you manage? If everybody starts doing things their own way, there have to be rules and they have to be followed. So that's important. I remember a time when, one of the clients, and I'm saying it in a very lighter way, that when one of the clients were not paid me my fees. He was a foreign client. And then suddenly when he comes here in India and we talk to him, and I was sitting, he suddenly takes out cash and says, just take the fees. Now, what do you do? My partner said, we can't take a fee. And I remember at that time telling my partner to say, this guy is not, he's paying the fee. He is not going to come again. And we are going to lose this fee. It was a reasonable amount that time. I mean, cash was. And I said, what is the problem? In this case, we are telling the client, we are going to deposit this money straight into the bank account because it's a bill invoice that we have raised. So, these kind of ethical issues should be grounded. It should be a firm decision. The second case that I remember, and it is related to ethics, is how you behave with your client. We had a foreign client and he had a retainership with me. We were charging him some $750 every month. And initially, a lot of questions were coming, American client. After a month, 2, 3 months, 5 months, questions dried up because things were stabilized. My brother came to me and said, we are being unethical. We are charging him $750 every month, but there is no question for doing nothing. We are charging him. It is not correct. It is a wrong thing. You must write to him and tell him that, this is not the right thing. And we are going to now charge you on a case-to-case basis. This fellow's name was Jim Ziskin. So I wrote to him and said, Jim, I think this is what has happened. You have hardly any questions. And we believe that we can go on a case-to-case basis. I got no response from him. Absolutely no response. After a month or 2 months, he came to Bombay and we had a meeting in my office and he discussed his various problems. And then afterwards, I said, Jim, I sent you that message. You have not replied to it. And he looked at me and said that, Sharik, we were worried that you don't want my business. $750 for a US company, which is a multinational, is nothing for the comfort that I have somebody whom I can approach anytime I want. So don't even think about it. But can you imagine the way in which the relationship was cemented by our offering him that we will charge you less? Can you just imagine that? I mean, it is also an indirect way of ethical behavior that you genuinely felt. It was not a game that was put on to win a client. I have witnessed when I started my career that a non-resident had come to my father requesting them to file our returns. And he said that the minimum I will charge you is, minimum fee I will pay you is $750 or $1,000 per return. And my father is looking at him and saying, are you mad? I don't charge that much. Your fee cannot be that much. I have witnessed this reverse haggling between the two of them and to then come to a figure. But I think ethics is all about treating your clients in a fair manner. And if you do that, clients don't resist your fees. If they understand that you're being reasonable, you're being genuine, you're providing value, they don't resist fee. I think we're probably running out of time. So I think you may have to.
Yes, we have last 10 minutes for the questions. No doubt. But I think sir, the kind of expertise is shared today. I think time is not that.
Yeah.
Now, my question directly, the biggest challenge which I observe people have to grow, to come together, to scale up is, a question regarding profit share. Many a times, when we interact, they broadly understand that, mine is a small cake which I am enjoying alone. When I join somebody with the right, perspective, what we have been discussing all the last 1 hour plus, I think we are going to get a bigger cake, but a smaller pie for us. But that smaller pie from that bigger cake also would be, certainly bigger and better with respect to what I have been getting as a full cake till now. So, the big question comes to mind is, what should be the ideal partnership structure which would promote the growth? It's obvious that every individual would have a different mindset, and every firm would have a different structure. But could you throw some light on, at least, or give some guide to what people should look at it, what they should do, what they should don't? Like, say, I always suggest that don't concentrate the entire percentage to only one person, so it becomes still a individual driven firm. Or induce a concept called V, that how are we is a concept. Like, if we keep something for ourselves, then obviously I drive the same idea of giver. Like, even if I do much better compared to my other partners, I can be a giver in that sharing. So your thoughts, please, sir.
So I think this concept of a giver is a very important concept, and how do you inculcate that into the entire fabric of the firm is extremely important. Now, I'll give you an early stage example. When we merged, one of my partner was seriously unwell. And the question then arose is that he was not able to contribute, he was not able to come. Now, logical thing would have been that his share and his profit would have to be reduced so that he's not working, others should get more. Now, on a principle basis, all three of us were not comfortable with that because we felt he's a partner, he's going through a medical challenge, and at that point in time, his income should also not be dropped. And we were wondering how other partners would take it. And we were delighted and surprised that other partners also thought that this dilemma was going on. And they approached us as three founding partners and told us that this person is going through a medical illness. Can we not start paying him his share in advance? Which means the other partners never came to us to say, reduce their share, we have to take the workload, we are putting in extra effort, so we should be compensated more. Instead, they came and told us, can we give him in advance because he may be needing money right now? I think it was an extremely satisfying moment for us that I think we've inculcated the right values in the firm. And the icing on the cake was that when we approached that particular partner and said that, see, you have medical needs, we can pay you in advance. He said, no, I have enough reserves of money. I don't need to be paid in advance. And I appreciate the fact that you people are not even reducing my share or anything. It's a good thing. So I think the whole thing worked out in that particular manner. Now, what do I mean? When you take a partner, how do you manage him? One is clearly, as you mentioned, the senior partners must be willing to reduce their share to give it to the other partners. Because overall, your earning will go up because more people are coming in, but your percentage will go down. And if you are, we have consistently been doing that of reducing our percentage to give it to others. The model that we follow is, if we find a person who is good, we keep elevating. There are processes, that you become a senior manager, you become a director, and so on. And then there are parameters what you need to satisfy in order to be elevated as a partner. So there are criteria that will be judged. Partners will debate whether this person has been able to show those capabilities to become a partner. And initially, the person would be made a fixed share partner, as we call it. So no variable percentage share, but a fixed share partner. We tell those partners at that stage that it is possible that if you now don't achieve the next level, you may stay at the fixed share partner. Not every fixed share partner will become a variable share partner. But the idea is that we want to get in people who become a variable share partner, because that is also part of succession. If I don't add more partners, then how is the firm going to sustain itself, grow itself, and manage itself? People are going to retire, people are going to become obsolete, and that is a recognition that should be there. So the model that we follow is we have a process in place in advance to know what are the capabilities to rise to a level of director, what are the capabilities that are there which we will benchmark you against to become a fixed share partner and then a variable share partner. And clearly, the other partners will dilute their share in order to give the person, and generally the founding partners or the senior partners dilute the maximum, ensuring that the share doesn't go down. But the share not
Certainly, you
going down
rightly said,
depends
sir.
on growth.
I am also one of the beneficiaries that the partners decided to dilute their share and take me as a partner, and that's how I could grow. So obviously, I fully vouch for that. And since we have got this opportunity to come and share our thoughts, is also because of the strength of our people that our
Correct.
partners have got enough confidence in us that they can push it forward. Certainly, growth, scalability is all fine, but how does one manage risk as one grows, like today we talked about your our unlearning of the old ways, like to think positively, think differently, think for the future growth. But there is a risk of unlearning also. Continuously unlearning and learning both should happen to such a level that without losing the basis of what we are learning, we must cross the path and grow towards a particular objective. So how do you recommend that one should manage the risk as one grows?
So one is first recognize the fact that risk can be minimized but cannot be eliminated. I think that's an important takeaway, that one should understand that whatever you do, and what risk can be eliminated. Obviously, reputational risk, risk of violating any legal provisions, that has to be completely eliminated. But every other risk, in terms of taking a bold step, maybe failing in a particular step, those risks are to be mitigated, managed, and not eliminated. Because as I said, if you don't take risks, you are in trouble. But besides that, as professionals, how do you manage your own professional risk? One is the question I'm asking the entire audience to themselves: have you even taken a professional indemnity policy? And if you have taken a professional indemnity policy, what is the amount of that policy? And what are the terms of that policy? So I think all of us should take a professional indemnity policy in order to ensure that that in case something untoward happens, there is a fallback available. Secondly, you need to discuss with the client when you are being engaged the terms of engagement. What is the engagement and what is the liability risk that you are taking in that thing? I remember again one of the multinational clients who had come, and we were doing work for it very early stage. Now, so we would not accept a assignment if there's somebody is asking me to take unlimited risk on account of some wrong advice or some mistake that has happened and all that. But I remember at that time a big company had come in, and they asked me that you have to give us unlimited liability in case there's a mistake. And the kind of work that we were doing was very, very manual. And I told them that, see, I'm putting systems and processes in place in order to ensure that there is no mistake. But the entire work is such that there can be a manual mistake, and the transactions are large. You are a multinational company. If a mistake happens at that time of, let us say, 30 lakhs or 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs, I will be wiped. That was before the merger. I said, I'll be wiped off. I will not do the assignment and accept that risk. So he said others are willing to do it. Everybody else is signing the risk. And I remember telling him at that time, it was a foreigner, a European guy. I said, I'm sure others are doing it because they are not thinking the way I'm thinking. I will also be very happy to get you somebody who is willing to sign on this, but back end I will do the work. So then if he's willing to sign, why are you not willing to sign? I said, because that man is going to finally, if something happens, just sort of drop his guards and say, do what you want. I don't have the money to pay. He has no intention, there's no ability to pay. He's signing it because he wants to make the money right now. But if the risk happens, he's just going to go say, I have nothing to do. You do what you want with me. I don't want to do that. So I'm not wanting to sign this. He appreciated that. And we finally got the assignment with the liability clause removed. And it was removed to provide that in case something happens, something wrong happens, or a mistake occurs which results in a loss, then my liability will be restricted to the extent of 1 year's fees. I said that is acceptable because I can bear that risk. I will be able to honor that risk. I don't want to take a decision with I knowing fully well that I will never be able to honor that thing, and I will just sort of tell you, shrug my shoulders and say, yeah, that is my liability, but I have no capabilities of meeting that liability. So I think risk management, and of course you can streamline. Most important thing is to establish quality standards. Institute has laid down the standards, follow them, streamline processes and procedures. You cannot now work without processes and procedures in place. You have to do that. Hot review of the audit files that you have done. All these things have to be done in, I think, NAFRA is breathing down your neck. How can you not have systems, processes, and documented processes and systems have to be there? I think it's important to not rely on, oh, I'm doing my job well. You have to document it. You have to make the processes in place. No question about it.
Well said. Sir, coming to the last question of our discussion today is that, fine, we have talked about so many things, but one area where, all the dignitaries as well as you also mentioned a bit about it, maybe how one could look at AI as a tool for the growth. What do you see relevance of technology in this growth and scalability?
I think it would be foolish to not say that technology is changing the world around us. We are seeing it in real time. And I don't see an option but for chartered accountants to adapt and take in technology. I think it is also important that people who are above the age of 50, 55 to have a mentor who is below the age of 30. I think
Well
the
said.
role reversal is perhaps necessary as far as technology is
Excellent.
concerned. Because the
Excellent.
problem I see it is that very often we as seniors believe we understand technology. Maybe we do, but we do not understand it as well as the juniors. And we are not letting go of that mindset. And therefore we are saying no. Now take a simple example. We have all been brought up to say, I'm a tax person, that read the act, read the section. You have to be able to know your ITR. You know that. Today's children are getting an equal amount of work done, perhaps better at times, by going to AI. They are doing their research through AI and they are producing results. And a lot of us in the initial stages were aghast. How can you do this? But when I realized that, yes, even if you do the work on your own and if you ask AI, it will perhaps bring in some points which you have missed out. You cannot rely on AI completely because AI, as we all know, can hallucinate and throw up wrong results. But you can do AI as a frontline research to begin with and then follow it up with your own knowledge. I think it is important. And it is also important to, we have in our firm now, for example, hired a chief technology officer because we believe that technology is important. We are hiring partners who are technology domain expertise because it's important. And it's important for the seniors and the founding partners to let people know that we do not understand technology the way you do. For example, in our firm in Chennai, we have a team of 20, 30 people who are not chartered accountants necessarily. They are technology people. They only provide solutions to do work by using technology for the client assignment and also personal assignments. So I think technology has become ingrained in our system. I would go to an extent of saying that as you grow, the technology part of it will make the initial work easily to be given to AI. But AI is also becoming smarter as days go by. I have heard auditors and people always say, but finally judgment is required and judgment will be only by human beings. I think that is also a misconception. What is judgment? Judgment comes from experience. So I have a lot of experience, I have a judgment. But AI now has a ability to scan through millions of database, and that scanning is also experience. They will perhaps be able to give a better experienced answer. I mean, it is happening in the medical field. You go to an AI, he will give you a better answer than perhaps a doctor. So all these things are, and I will end with a small anecdote. A book that I was reading on AI and how it can transfer, it gave an example that this young girl was looking for a partner to get married to, and she liked two boys, and she was not able to decide who was the right one for her to get married. And then the problem says that it would be better to go to AI to determine this, because the girl may take a decision through infatuation and looks and stuff like that at the spur of the moment, while AI will able to sort of extrapolate that what would things be 20, 30, 40 years down the line, and then give a much more balanced view. So sometimes I think we should be worried that in the short run, AI is not going to dramatically change at least what we are doing, but it is going to change it. And if we use it well, we can expand and grow and scale up. But in the longer run, AI is going to take away more and more of what we can do, and we have to be nimble enough to adapt to that change.
Well said, sir. I think that brings the end of our interaction on this. I think there are so many takeaways, but I would like to take, lead in sharing that would be, like we have got tremendous power. We are all knowledgeable, but I think we must become givers. We must ensure that our skill sets are at the highest level, and we should ensure about we must ensure that AI plays a great role in our development. And some of the tricks of the trade which I've shared, I think we must expand to that so that we become part of such a great journey of scaling up and becoming a larger firm. I think, sir, thank you very much on my personal behalf. And now I pass on to Priyanshu for the remaining part. Priyanshu, over to you, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful, enriching session. So there is one question which has been come out from the audience. So, in your experience, what is the most dangerous mindset trap that successful chartered accountancy firms fall into once they reach a certain size? And how can firms consciously avoid stagnation, uh, disguised and stability?
See, this is a question which all of us have grappled. I mean, I may feel in my firm that we have grown very well, but now we are sort of not growing as fast as we should, though we are starting new entities in different places. And the problem is real, because sometimes you worry that now you have grown so well, you have great reputation, you don't want to take in a partner who you are not comfortable with. Also, you become slaves of what if I have joined and given somebody X amount, I cannot give somebody new a much better deal. So what you have done in past sort of restricts you from doing something different for a new person, unless there is a broad consensus, because otherwise others would be unhappy. But the answer to your question is that you cannot stop it. You must continue your growth process, because we are in a way all on a treadmill, right? If we don't stop, keep running, you're going to fall off, and you decide. So therefore, the idea is that you must gather like-minded people. You must create domain expertise. You must add in partners. We had a discussion at the partners meeting, and we were saying that, okay, we are now becoming almost 53 partners in the network. I mean, where will this end? Now, in Bombay itself, we are more than 20 partners, 25 partners. So now we should not take any more partners. And my other partner said that, but that means you will stifle growth, because you have to take in new partners if they are there, and they will bring in that energy themselves, and that will attract more people. So I would believe, don't stop, add in your people. Maybe you can pause for a while to say that, now we consolidate for a year or 2 years before again going for a sort of a concentrated and very well thought out growth. But you can say, I'll pause, and that is what we had also done, that for 2 years, we are not going to add any branches. We are not going to do that because we have grown. First, we want to put our systems and processes in place, consolidate, and then go for growth again and look out. And we would actually say that, okay, we don't have a partner in Kolkata. We just recently added somebody in Kolkata a year back. We don't have a partner. We need a Kolkata firm. You actually make the effort of going there, meeting people, choosing the right partner, and bringing them in. You have to make that effort. And also locally, keeping on adding people. I think it's just important.
Okay, sir. So these were the questions and which were taken. So as we draw this enriching session to a close, one message stands out clearly. The future of the profession belongs not in the biggest firms, but to the most adaptive minds.
Correct.
So on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and of the Committee for Members in Practice, and the SAFA SMP committee, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our respected uh, chairman to the committee, CA Madhukar Hirgange sir, our president, vice president, our guest today, President SAFA CA Mohammad Humayun Kabir, and Vice President SAFA CA Praveen Kumar Jha, and our distinguished speakers, CA Sharik Contractor sir, CA Niranjan Joshi sir, for the wonderful interactive session today. And every member who had joined us today with curiosity, openness, and a growth mindset. So let us carry forward today's learning, not merely in our professional practices, but into thinking, leadership, approach, and long-term legacy. Thank you for your time and your attention and commitment to the professional excellence. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.